Now, we don't need everyone to be the next Bill Gates. We don't need everyone to be able to code. Organisations are moving more towards behaviour-based interviews.
Welcome to another episode of A Little Bit Richer, brought to you by my friends at Legal & General. Sarah is a talent development manager at Legal & General and can give us some insights on what you can do, where you can find resources, and how this might help improve your career opportunities and hopefully get you a bigger salary too. Welcome, Sarah.
Hi, Kia.
I'm really looking forward to this episode because I think careers is a massive one and everyone wants to know what they can do to give themselves that big up and to push themselves forward. So let's get straight into it. How do you decide what you might need to help with your career development?
It's a big question, isn't it? And it can be a little bit of a minefield, especially when you start work and there's loads of different opportunities, and knowing where to go and which one is the best can be a little bit daunting. So I would say take a step back, be a little bit self-aware. What is it that you're trying to achieve? What are your strengths already? Stop looking at all the things that you're not good at and start playing into those strengths. A lot of organisations, they'll have career pathways for you. And these are great because what they'll do is they'll give you a little bit of a guide in terms of where you need to go, what you need to learn. They'll tell you about your knowledge, your skills, and then your behaviours you need to develop. So I think having a bit of self-awareness can really, really help. Looking at career pathways. But the biggest thing, I think, is finding people who have been there and done that. And so seeking out a mentor who can really, really help you in terms of your career. The other thing I'd probably say is I'm a massive advocate for being open and transparent and having career conversations with your line manager. Because again, they can help you. They can also showcase different opportunities for you to learn and develop.
I think it is great knowing that you can go there. And I think sometimes people feel that they don't have the confidence to voice, I want to learn more. What better can I be doing? But it is a strength and something that you should lean into. And I love the point that you mentioned going to find a mentor. I remember one thing I like to say is, a good way to learn how to improve is to learn from your mistakes, but the smartest way is to learn from someone else.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to find someone who's been there before, whether it's in your workplace or online or LinkedIn, places like that. So I love those tips that you've given. For anyone who's thinking, right, this has been great, I want to find ways that I can increase my skill set. What opportunities are there to learn and develop your skill set that you might actually find when you're at work?
So I think the biggest thing here is what exactly is development? And there's this massive myth that development is just about going on to courses. And that for people can be actually a setback for them. Because a lot of the time, some people go on to courses and they realise that that's not actually their learning style. So a lot of people learn through different ways. So it might not be through a course, it might be through experience, it might be through one-to-one coaching. So I think that development and having that understanding that it's not just a course is really important. I like to look at it as the 70-20-10 model. And that's just an easy way to remember that when we learn, 70% of that is through experience. So whether you're getting feedback, and you mentioned about testing and learning, all of that is through experience and experiential learning. The 20% is what we call informal learning. So where you might do some research online. Like I carve out 15 minutes every single day to do a little bit of research on something. And that could be from looking at podcasts, it could be maybe even TikTok, and just learning something different. And sometimes it doesn't necessarily have to be about work. And then the 10% is where the formal learning comes in and the professional qualifications and professional courses. So I think having that understanding first is really helpful in then looking at what skills organisations might want you to achieve through learning and development.
I think it's great to know your breakdown because, like you said, we place so much emphasis on I need to take a new course, I need to enroll into this. But in reality, by your metrics, it does play such a small part, and a lot of it is on the job and you trying different
Yeah.
things. And everything that I've ever done has been through trial and error and just trying something different. You know, you can take all the courses in the world to learn
Yeah.
how to public speak, but unless you go ahead and do it and you fail when you said, oh, I shouldn't have done that, next time I'm going to do this differently, you're not
Yeah.
really going to know,
No.
which is what I absolutely love. If we come back to skills, then I know there's going to be people listening who say, right, Sarah, I get it. There are so many courses I can do, so many things I can learn.
Yeah.
But what should I really be focusing on? So I want to ask you, what sort of skills are the most useful and transferable for people to learn?
Yeah. Massive question. Now, this is an opinion. It depends on the industry, but I think one thing that all industries have in common right now is that we are on a wave of going into a new industrial revolution. Technology, AI, data, it's all becoming part and parcel of everybody's day jobs. So I have three, if I can have three skills.
Yes.
So the first one would be digital literacy. Now, we don't need everyone to be the next Bill Gates. We don't need everyone to be able to code, but having skills to be able to use different technology and be able to communicate maybe with customers or stakeholders through digital means is going to be really important. I think the next one is leadership skills. Now, that one's quite broad, and probably people would be thinking, well, I don't want to be a leader. But actually, when you think about leadership skills, you don't have to be a people manager. The skills needed of a leader, like in stakeholder management, communication, having more human centered leadership styles like empathy, agility, all of those are going to be skills that we need. The last one, and my favourite one, is the skill of being curious and continuous learning.
One of my favourite ones.
Favourite ones ever, because without that, then you're not going to move forward in your career.
It is so crucial to stay curious. And that was something that I was taught by my parents growing up, which I think my dad probably regrets now because the amount of questions I ask at home is crazy. But staying curious and asking questions and wanting to learn more is a great skill to have because it keeps you inquisitive. As you mentioned, I love the point when you said you carve out 15 minutes a day to learn something new. That's something that I do, more focused on finance. So I spend 10, 15 minutes every morning to look up what's going on. Yeah. So I know what's going on. I can learn the new changes because things are changing all the time, as you mentioned. You know, we're on the cusp of technology really being a massive focal point. So it is important to stay curious and to stay interested. Yeah. The way we are in society, as you know, we go through the education system and there's always a lot of emphasis on taking exams so you can have a qualification, whether it's your GCSEs or your A-levels or your undergrad degree. There's such an emphasis on formal qualifications. So I want to ask you, how important are formal qualifications when you're looking for a new job compared to actually having practical work experience?
Yeah. Look, it depends on the industry again, and it depends on the employer. Now, for some organisations who are looking for qualifications as part of the role, let's say accounting, then qualifications will get you the foot in the door. But these days, and what I've noticed through other organisations, is that organisations are moving more towards behaviour-based interviews and definitely looking at the what and the how. So, yes, qualifications will teach you what to do, but how you do it comes from your behaviour and your experience. So I would say they're important for some roles, but I think there's far more emphasis on that curiosity and having that growth mindset and willingness to learn, be vulnerable, challenge yourself. I think that's far more important than the qualifications. I've spent 17 years in learning and development, and I will always say we can teach you the knowledge, but what we can't do is necessarily give you that oomph to demonstrate to you the right behaviours needed in the role.
It's great to hear that because I think for some people it might be a process of unlearning. You're taught for so long, right? You need to learn this, have a qualification, do everything you can to have that on paper that you can do something.
Yeah.
but a lot of it is just the practical side of it.
Yeah, exactly. And, one thing that I'm really passionate about is apprenticeships. And apprenticeships offer that experiential learning, practical experience, as well as coupled with professional qualifications. And I think that's the magic ingredient in learning.
Honestly, I wish I knew more about apprenticeships when I was around that age. But you can do adult apprenticeships. I know that there are some more coming out,
Yes,
which is really good.
yes. I mean, there's multiple pathways on apprenticeships. And again, another myth is that apprenticeships are for early careers, and they're not. Um, Apprenticeships are available from a level 2 GCSE level right the way up to a master's level.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And any age, anyone can do them.
That's some great insight. Really good insight. We know that employers are willing to cover the cost of some training. So could you give us an idea of the formal training opportunities that an employer might be willing to offer or pay for?
Yeah, I think that organisations understand that people are their greatest asset. And for that to be really true, then investing in their people is really important. So we've got this two sides. You've got professional development and then you've got personal development. Now, the professional development, organisations would be willing to pay for that. So, in terms of professional qualifications, as an example. And then the personal development, which is skills training to make you better at what you're doing. Now, organisations do tend to provide funding for this. But what I would say is talk to your line manager, talk to your leaders about all the opportunities that are available.
So, for anyone who may be in my position, how can they go about building a case to their current employer about some paid training that they may be interested in?
I think in building a case, it's really understanding why is this development solution the right fit for you, your learning style? What would the benefits be to the business? What would the benefits be to the customer, as an example? And then from there, it's do your research, talk to other colleagues that might have undertaken the same development, and then put that into the case as well. Look at different options. Do you have to go on that course? What other ways could you develop? And go back to when I mentioned the 70-20-10. Just really consider that.
Courses are great, but a lot of it is hands-on. So we mentioned other things that you can look at. So what are some good places to find free training resources?
For me, the best one that I've seen so far is the Open University. Open University, for those who don't know, have a open learn platform which has thousands of free courses available. They're all available on demand, so you can start it and finish it depending on how much time you have. And also, you get a certificate at the end of it for participating. And the courses, like, unbelievable. So you've got from finance, you've got from money, you've got from learning a different language, data and digital skills. It's all available. So I think that's an excellent one. LinkedIn Learning is also really, really good. But I think for free learning, I would also think about your network and think about other people that might have attended courses. Be curious. And if you want something for free, why not contact your learning and development team?
Why not?
Yeah, ask them. Is there any way that you could pilot any sessions that they're doing going forward?
Those are some really interesting tips. I didn't know about the Open University, but that's a great one to have a look at.
Yeah.
What I'm getting from this is that there is so much online that you don't necessarily, if your employer doesn't offer a paid training course,
Yeah.
for example, you can still find other opportunities to learn. But I know a big pushback for a lot of people will say, you know what, that's great. I do want to upskill. However, I just don't have the time. I'm working all the time. And when I am off, I'm not that motivated to actually undertake a course. So do you have any tips for getting motivated and not putting off a course?
Development, it's not a crash diet. This is, something that you're going to have to put time into. And it should be seen as part of the role. and you should be prioritizing your development. What I really like doing is to stay motivated, is to look at my development plan and use the smarter method. So, where some may be familiar with SMART as terms of goals, looking at the development solution, is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it achievable? Is it relevant? And what's the time frame on that? And that, I think, really helps to set some boundaries around your development. The ER on the end of that is make your development goals engaging and really make sure that they fit your learning needs and are going to meet your career aspirations as well.
Smarter. I love that.
Yeah.
The ER on the end really just helps take that up a notch so
Yeah.
you can really evaluate what it is that you're doing. And I think if that aligns with you a bit more in your lifestyle, then you can make those changes.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you said it doesn't have to be a lot of time. I think often when you look at courses, you think, oh my gosh, I've got to set aside, 2 hours a day to try and complete this, or 2 hours a week? Even 2 hours a week is a lot. But if you know that you can do it in small chunks, and we always talk about small steps can build up to that bigger goal, and that's what you want to aim to do.
Yeah. What I would say is if it's not motivating you that learning, then is it the right learning solution for you? So if it's not going to help you achieve your goals and achieve your goals faster, then really question, do you actually need to do that learning? Now, of course, some organisations will have regulatory training that you have to do. But if it's personal development, really consider that.
That's a really good thought process to go through to help you to discern what you should and shouldn't undertake. This has been a great episode, Sarah. So to round off, I want to ask you, what are your top 3 tips for career development?
So I think that it's just looking at yourself. It's getting a great network around you, getting critical friends, because we can also be really self-critical when it comes to development and thinking that we need to go on to XY course because we're not good at it. Look to get feedback to really help you in planning out your development plan, and continue to talk about it and continue to do your research and be curious.
This has been such a great episode, and my big takeaway from this, be curious. Practical learning is a massive part, so embrace it and don't shy away from it. Sarah, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast.
Thank you.